Good morning once again. Today we're going to continue our discussion on data types, data classes, and data structure. We said that R can handle different types of data classes or data types. Pwedeng numeric siya. Okay, numeric means it can handle decimals or real numbers, pwede mga square roots, no? And pwede siyang integer, kaya ni R i-handle yung integer. You have to specify that it's integer. There are different ways to do this, but one way is to designate the L as a letter attached to the number. It can be a character. Pag character, sabi natin dapat may quotes. Logical, pwedeng true, okay? Or pwedeng dapat capital letter, guys, false, okay? Or pwedeng 2, T, or pwedeng F. Okay? So yun yung logical. Hindi pa pwede yung small letter, no? False. Okay, that will not be recognized, no? Dapat, ano siya, dapat capitals yung nalagamit. Or simply T or F. Or it can be, guys, a complex number. Hindi nabasa po siya dapat semicolon siya. Okay? Parang wala ng error. Or it can be a complex number. We know that a complex number is simply a combination of a real number and an imaginary number. If you recall from our algebra, this is the square root of -1. Or it can be a date. No? So these are the data classes or data types that we're going to use. Now, we learned about the assignment operator. Diba assignment operator? We call it assignment operator, yung less than dash. The assignment operator ang tawag natin dyan. And we can, the shortcut for that is Alt and then minus. For Mac, I think it's Option and then minus. Okay? So, sabi natin, it's better to use the assignment operator than using A is equal to 1. Okay, pareho lang naman yan, guys. A is equal to 1. However, there will be some code chunks that will use equal to in the function. So mas maganda, guys, separate yung pag-assign natin ng name to an object. Here, we're using A to denote the number 1. So A has this object. A is an object and it has a value equal to 1. If we want to print A, we either type print A or A. No? So if we run this, guys. So nagkaroon tayo ng object dito na A. Makikita natin dito yan saan. We can see that in our environment. So this means that there's this object called A kasi generate natin yan. Tapos print natin, take note, dalawang beses, di ba? Kasi yung print A at saka yung A. Okay. If we don't want to include this, yung print A o kaya A, we can just put parentheses to it. Take note. Okay, di ba? Yung rinan natin itong A assigned to 1, automatically print niya. Okay, and then we can get the class of A and the type of A. Okay. Medyo magkaiba yung class niya, no, at saka yung type niya. We will not go into the nuances of the difference. Numeric, yung class is more the higher level classification. Double is more the lower level classification. But they're the same, no? They're the same. Hindi natin kailangan distinguish between the two. But suffice it to say, guys, na si class, siya yung higher classification, si type of, siya yung lower classification. And it's only a different pag numeric yung data natin. Pag iba, pag integer or logical, pag character, pareho lang yan. Okay, here you have a integer, 3L. And we're creating this object called B. If you run both of them at the same time, okay, so automatically print yung object B, which is 3, and then it's an integer. Okay, let me type of, sama ko yung type of B Okay. Run ko ulit yung tatlong to. Okay, this was what I was saying a while ago. Yung type of at class, pareho lang yan kapag integer or logical, they're the same. Sa numeric lang yan medyo nag-iiba. No? Sa numeric, pag class niya, numeric, pag type of double. But they actually refer to the same thing. Okay, then others, date also, very important. So we go to data structures. Pag sinabing data structure, guys, collection to of the data. No? So yung pinaka-basic na type dito is what we call vectors. Okay, si vectors or the long name is atomic vectors. Kasi si vectors, guys, it can only handle same type of data. So ibig sabihin, kung numeric, numeric lang lahat. Kung character, character lang lahat. Kung logical, dapat lahat logical values. Okay? So when we deal with data structures, ito yung mga possible na functions na pwede natin magamit. Nagamit na natin to. Class, type of, mode, names, length, how long the object is, and then attributes, structure, dimension. Okay, we're going to learn how to make use of these functions in greater detail as we go on. Hindi ngayon lahat, no? Yung iba lang. Yung class at saka type of na kuha na natin. Later, siguro si structure at saka si length. Okay, we'll discuss that also. All right, so what are the different types of data structures? Maraming klase, may vectors, may list, may matrices, may arrays, factors. Okay, factors or pwedeng characters din. And then we have data frames. Okay, ito yung pinaka-importante sa atin, yung data frames. Okay, we're going to look at this one by one. So let's see how far we were able to go. First, guys, si vector. Sabi natin kanina, si vector, another name for that is atomic vector kasi only one type ng data ang kaya niya. Okay? It's different from the second type here is a list. Si list, kaya niya ng iba't ibang klase. Pwede i-combine si date, pwede i-combine kay logical, kay character, kay factor, kay data frame. Pwede yun. Okay? Si vector kasi isang klase lang. Okay, let's start with the numeric vector. Okay, here we're creating an object called A1. Okay, A1 is equal to 5. Dito naman, an object called numbers, 1.1, 3, and negative 5.7. Okay, so dito lagyan na lang natin guys ng ng open and close parenthesis para ma-print niya. Okay, so dito, we have here three codes, no? 3 functions. I-run natin ito ng sabay-sabay. Okay, so here we have A1, lumabas na si A1 dito. No? Tapos sino pang lumabas? Nums, yung object na nums, andito din siya. So every time we create an object, guys, in R, it should appear in your values or your data. Okay, values, ang data natin, this is a data frame to RGBP. Okay. So si numbers, vector siya. Ang class ni numbers is numeric. 1.13, negative 5.7. So this is a vector, yung object na numbers na to. As you can see here, this is numeric, consisting of 3 elements, 1.13 and negative 5.7. So this is a vector because it consists of 3 data types which are all the same, numeric siya lahat. Okay, so let's generate some random numbers. Diba dati ginawa natin to? If you want to know more about a particular function, diba pwede yung gamitin to, no? Either help R norm or question mark R norm. Here, this will not run here kasi hindi siya nasa loob ng code chunk. Pero dito, pwede natin i-highlight dito yan. Control V, R norm, question mark. Okay. So this helps us generate normal distribution. Building D norm. Okay. Or D norm, that's the distribution function. Okay. D norm gives us the density. Okay. R norm gives us the deviates, the values, okay, etc. So merong P norm gives us the probabilities. Q norm, ito yata yung one time. No? Okay, so ito yung syntax yan. What's good with the help function of R is that you can go to the examples. No? Okay, tapos you can run this. Pwede yung copy to either sa script or sa console and then study kung ano yung laman. Ano yung laman niya. Okay, and the R norm function comes from the stats package. Okay, now take note na we didn't have to install this package kasi it already comes with the base R. So pag binuksan niyo si R Studio, okay, automatically yung stats package, tingnan natin dito. Stats package. Okay, may defunct na siya, may deprecated siya. Ibig sabihin nito, may lumang stats package dati, tapos may mga binago. No? So ganyan naman talaga yung mga packages. So nagbabago siya. Yan. Stats package. Okay, you can use again this library help. Just to illustrate to you how very helpful the help function of R is. Yeah, information on package R stats. And so these are the functions na ginagamit. Akaiki, Arima, this is used for time series. We'll go to that, guys. So yan, maraming functionality siya. ANOVA, that linear model. Okay, so you can see here, siguro ilang hundreds to ng functionalities. Non-linear model, NLM. This one. Okay, so lots of functionalities that you can find in the stats package. Okay, all right, so here let's create the same object. Same object ang makikreate natin kasi nag-set.seed tayo. And we're creating this object called devs. Okay, R norm 100, note na we cut it at 100, ibig sabihin ko 100 observations. Hindi na natin sinama yung mean at standard deviation kasi it defaults into a standard normal distribution, which means that the mean is 0 and then the standard deviation is equal to 1. So let's run this. Sama na natin si view. Okay. Dito muna. Ito may parenthesis, di ba? So ipiprint na yan. Okay, and print sa console, ipiprint din dito sa script window natin. And we should have the same values. Negative 5.02, negative 0.13, etc. Can you please chat, guys, kung pareho tayo ng values? If you run set.seed at saka yung devs function, guys, we should have the same values. Sabi natin yung set.seed, no? That will make our random numbers the same. Okay, let me wait for the others to please chat. Chat box na, guys. Ito lang, let's wait for the others. I hope you were able to generate. So the output, kasi linagyan natin ng parenthesis dito, di ba? So hindi na natin kailangan i-print devs or type devs. Automatically, i-print na niya both sa script at saka sa console. Linid din niya dito sa console. Okay, the rest, guys, apat lang yes. 4 lang out of 24, so that means 17% lang guys yung chat. Let's wait for your classmates. About the rest, guys, nara nyo ba? Run lang yung first two, yung set.c, the child devs. Ito. You should have this. Waiting for your response, guys. Hello, guys. Hello. Iba? May questions ba? May ano?
Sir, dapat ba like super similar yung numbers or no naman?
Dapat pareho kasi in-highlight mo ba yung set.c?
Opo.
Highlight mo yung set.c tapos yung devs are known 100. Yung first two. Bakit? Ano lumabas sa'yo?
Iba po yung numbers. I actually,
Yung
is it
unang
up
number
until
mo?
97? Like yung element na 97 po ba?
Ano yung 97?
Okay.
Negative 0.832?
Okay, tama na po, sir.
Pareho yan. Oh, pati
Yes po.
yung huli, negative 1.7174.
Opo.
Dapat
Thank you,
pareho.
sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. Dapat pareho tayo, guys, ha? Yun ang purpose ng set.c, no? Okay, it will use a specific random number generator, okay, that allows us to have the same numbers, the same random numbers, and that's very helpful, guys, kasi kunyari kung mag-experiment tayo o gagawa tayo ng statistical test, tapos we're just generating random numbers, para pareho tayo, we use the set.c. So depende kung anong set.c ang gagamitin natin. But dapat pareho tayong set.c na number. Okay, thank you. Although, all in all, mga 10 lang yung nag-respond. So sana, next time guys, sana lahat kayo nagpa-participate. No? Okay, so ano ginagawa nitong view devs? If we run this, guys, makikita natin the output will be generated here. Diba sa isang worksheet dito. Yan. So that's what the view function does. View devs. Okay, then let's do this mean and the standard deviation. Control Enter. The mean is 0.0029, so it's very close to 0. So remember, we want R to generate randomly, normally distributed data, no? With the mean equal to 0. So hindi exactly 0 siya. Okay. But if you increase the size of the sample, gawin yung 10,000 yan, or maybe bigger, you'll notice that the mean will practically be equal to 0 and the standard deviation will be practically be 1. So ito, close enough, 1.02. Hindi naman siya exactly 1. Okay? Now, what does the summary function does? The summary function will give us the, what does the summary function do? Sorry, wrong grammar. What does the summary function do? It gives us the 6-number summary, minimum, quartile 1, median, mean, quartile 3, and maximum value. So this is what the summary function does. No? So parang summary statistics siya. And then the structure, since this is just a vector, it will just give us the value of your vector, which is just a numeric, no, from 1 to 100. If our object was a data frame, it should be there are several variables. The structure will give us a different answer. Okay, and then we have here histogram. Histogram ng object natin, devs. Run natin siya. Histogram. Okay, so R has a very powerful plotting functionality. Okay. Now, lagyan natin dito. So what if we use the plot function? The plot of devs, iba to, no? Ang plot function naman pag plot function, this would just be a scatter plot. Oops. Yan, scatter plot lang yung lumabas. So this is a scatter plot. On the other hand, this is a histogram. Okay? All right. So class type of, kapag numeric siya, sabi natin kanina, kapag numeric yung object natin, okay, it will give us yung class, higher level to numeric, and then type of double, but we don't need to really distinguish between the two. Basta kaya to ng decimal places. Okay? Ano yung length niya? Length gives us kung ilan yung size ng ano natin ng object. So this 100 yung object natin, di ba? 100 is a sample size. Mode is quite similar to class. Okay? Numeric. And then structure, binan natin to. It will just give us the kung ano yung laman ng object natin. Okay. Right? So let's go to another example. Dito, mag-generate din tayo ng same, guys. Let's call it devs 1 naman. Kanina devs. R norm 100 din. Pero iba yung mean nito. Mean is 90. Standard deviation is equal to 5. Okay, so let's first run the first two. Let's see the child devs 1. This should be the same, 90.42378. So I expect you to have the same output with me kasi pareho yung set.seed natin. Here we're using set.seed 200. Okay, arbitrary naman yung number na yan for as long as pareho tayo ng number, guys. And then mean, standard deviation, let's run all of this together. Okay, mean is 90.14, very close to 90. No? Standard deviation is 4.6. Okay, medyo malayo ng konti. So 5. And then the summary is minimum, first quartile, quartile 2, mean, average, quartile 3, and then the maximum. So ito yung summary statistics natin dito sa summary. The structure, we know the same. We know, guys, nasa mabigalingan numeric siya. And then, summarize niya yung laman ng object natin. Yan, numeric. Okay. So let's go here, guys. Let's now go to samples of, so ito vectors to, no? Yung devs 1, these are numeric vectors. Okay, let's generate other vectors. Okay, here let's generate a vector called G. Lagyan natin ng open and close parentheses para i-print niya. Here we're using the concatenate function. And then si G1 naman, let's use alt minus G1 1 to 10. We're using the operator up to, no, yung column. Hiran natin itong dalawang muna, guys. Okay, so notice, guys, pareho lang siya. Si G, okay, so nag-appear na siya dito. Okay, kaso makikita natin difference ito. Ano? Si G is numeric. It's a numeric vector. G1 is an integer. So there's a slight difference between the two. So when we use the concatenate function and then identify the numbers, this will generate a numeric vector. On the other hand, yung operator na up to, yung column, this will generate an integer. G1. Integer siya. Okay? So, tingnan natin anong difference ng class ni G at saka ng class ni G1. May kaibahan ba? Yes. No? Yeah. When we use the concatenator, numeric siya. When we use the operator na column, integer siya. Okay? Type of, alam natin na si G, since numeric siya, double yung type of niya. Si integer naman, integer pa rin. So walang pagkakaiba dun sa class at saka type of ng isang integer. Okay, length ni G, gawin din natin length ni G1, parang natin. Of course, we expect them to be the same. Pareho lang siyang tig to 10, no? Kasi 1 to 10. Okay, so you can see there's a difference between the class of this object. G here, yung 1 to 10, is an integer. While here, the numbers are numeric, double siya, ibig sabihin, may decimal places actually ito. 1.0 siya, 1.00. Okay? Ito talagang walang decimal place yan. Kasi counting yan eh. Okay, now, let's take a look at this. Here we're creating an object called K. Okay, by the way nga pala, no? I forgot to mention here that let's create an object here called, lagyan na natin dito na lang, G2. What if we use this G2 alt minus and then C 1 up to 10? Okay, dito guys, kinumbine natin si C at saka yung operator na 1 to 10. And then class G2. Sabihin na natin. Okay, what do we have here guys? G2 is 1 to 10. Okay, notice kinumbine natin si yung concatenator at saka yung 1 to 10. No? Let's see what happens here. Yan. Okay, take a look guys. So yung G2, it's still an integer. So kahit natin ginamitan ng C, nag-prevail pa rin yung operator na column. No? So it's still an integer. All right? I hope that's clear guys na this will generate still an integer vector. All right. So one way to generate an integer vector aside from the 1 to 10 is specify natin. Although dito guys, sinasabi natin na C is in-identify natin 1L, 2L. Notice the use of C will not mean automatically numeric siya. Kasi ginamit natin dito yung L which makes it as an integer kahit na may C dito. Okay, so let's run this. Run. Okay, so print na si K 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then ang class ni K is integer. Okay? So if you take a look at that here, K nga, andito object, integer siya. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right, here guys, ito. We're creating an object called M. And without running this, anong class ng data ang mag-generate ito? M is C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What class of data will this generate without running it, guys? Paki-chat nga, please. Without running the code for M. What type of data will this generate, please? Kindly chat. Okay. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Rhea. Thank you, Richmond. Okay, thank you, Maya. You're correct, no? Tama. Numeric to kasi ginamitan natin ng C and then in-identify natin, linis down natin. Hindi natin ginamit yung 1 to 5. No? Okay, so let's run this. Okay. So we know that these are numeric. Numeric siya. Yan, no? Class M is numeric, type of M is double. Now let's create this function. I'm going to create an object called N, and then we're going to use this as that integer and then M. Okay. In other words, guys, we want object M, which is numeric, to be converted into an integer. Let's see kung pwede siya. Pwede ba natin i-convert si numeric into an integer? So let's run this tree. Okay. All right. And what happened, guys? So we created an object called N. Let's go here, N. Ito N, guys, integer siya. So, ginamit natin si M, guys, which is numeric, tapos kinonvert natin siya into an integer. Okay, and we were able to do that. This is called implicit coercion. Okay, kinoerce natin si kinoerce natin si N, si M, to become an integer. Okay. So let's go down. Okay. Now, di ba yung in the recent exercise, what we did was to convert an integer, a numeric into an integer. Now, how about this? Can we convert a character into integers? So let's create an object called let, and then it consists of 5 elements, mga characters to, no? Kasi tingnan nyo, naka-quotes, no? So let's take i-run muna natin to. Let's create this object called let, and then take the class and then the type. Highlight natin, Control Enter. Okay. So ito nga, no? A, B, C, D. And then the class and the type is character. Check natin dito, select, yan, character siya. 5 elements, A, B, C, D, E. Okay. Now, is it possible to convert let? Okay. So we're creating an object called let1 and then gawin natin as that integer. So select. So we're saying that let's create an object called let1. Co-convert natin yung let object, which is character, into an integer. So let's run this. Let's run this. Ito. Yung last na to, select. Okay. What happened, guys? Check nga, please. Were we successful in converting the character vector into a integer vector? Were we successful, guys? Yes or no? Okay, thank you, Maya. No, thank you. Okay, the answer, guys, is no. Kasi NA to, no? Not applicable siya. Not available. So, hindi natin na-convert to into integer. Okay? So, there's a rule as far as coercion is concerned. Okay, so this is the coercion rule. A vector can only be composed of one data type. Alam natin yan. So, kapag mag-create tayo ng vector na iba't ibang klase yung laman, so kunyari may logical, may integer, may numeric, may complex, may character, ang gagawin ni R niyan, i-coerce niya. Okay? Saan niya i-coerce? What he will do is yung mga lower ranking type, it will be converted into the higher ranking type. Okay, like this one. Ang pinaka-lowest ranking si logical. Ang pinaka-highest ranking si character. So if we have a vector consisting of all of this, and since we're creating a vector, hindi pa pwedeng magkakaiba. No? So ang gagawin yan, co-coerce ni R to become characters. Kasi si character yung pinaka-highest ranking. Kung may character, ha? Pero kunyari hanggang complex lang, i-co-coerce na lahat into a complex. Okay, so let's take a look at this example. Okay, paki-insert nga itong chunk of code na to, guys, kasi in-insert ko lang kanina to dun sa kabilang class. No? So let's create this obj, this object called obj. And then it consists of, concatenate natin. Here you have this logical, and then integer, numeric, complex, and then character. Okay. And then i-class. Tingnan natin kung ano yung class niya. Okay, so your answers are correct, guys. Kanina, hindi natin mako-convert in si character into integer. Why, guys? Kasi you can only convert in this direction. Logical can be converted into character. Complex can be converted into character. Integer can be converted into character. Okay? But character cannot be converted into complex. Okay? Of course, may mga exceptions dyan. Character may be converted into logical in some instances. No? In some instances lang. But generally, hindi pa pwede. Okay? So, when you coerce a vector, iba't ibang elements ang laman niya, you can create that object kaso i-coerce niya yung mga elements. Alright. So, ano nangyari dito? Okay, I think I gave enough time. If I run this, ano nangyari, guys? Si true, nagkaroon ng coach lahat, di ba? So what does that mean? What does that mean, guys? Naging ano to? Okay? Naging character siya. Right? And class of this object is character. Why? Kasi guys, ang coercion rule nga ni R, kapag if you are creating a vector with different data types, then in order for it to create a vector, i-convert na into one data type yan. So pag may character ka dyan, lahat i-convert into a character kasi si character ang highest ranking type. Okay? So let's take a look at some exceptions. Okay, medyo bago na lang guys yung code natin dyan kasi medyo binago natin ito kanina. Okay, first let's create this object W and 0 to 6. Class W, we know that this is an integer guys. Si W integer yan kasi the use of the operator colon. Let's check. Print. Ayan, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 integer siya. Alright? Check natin dito sa environment natin, W, integer. Dito na nakaprint yan sa script window natin. Okay? Alright. Now, let's create another object, W1. Okay, this is, we know that this is numeric. No? So, i-print natin si W1, tapos kunin natin yung class. We know that this is numeric. Okay, and we guessed it right. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, numeric. Alright. Dito guys, pakibago na lang yung code dyan. Let's create an object called W2. Okay, W2. And then, okay, sabi natin, as that numeric, si W. And then class W2. Huwag niyo muna i-run guys. Tingnan natin, ano ba si W? Okay, si W guys, W is, yan, it's an integer. Tapos sabi natin, gusto natin siyang gawing integer. We want to make it as what? Siya yan. Numeric. Okay, so pwede ba yun? Pwede ba yun guys na yung mag-create tayo ng W2 na numeric which is converted from integer. Let's take a look at the hierarchy. Ayan, integer, pwede bang i-convert into numeric? Answer is, guys, yes. Diba? Sa hierarchy, si logical pwede i-convert into integer. Logical can be converted into numeric. Logical can be converted into character. Lahat yan, guys. Si logical pwede ma-convert sa lahat. Okay? Si numeric naman, si integer pwede ma-convert into numeric, complex, and character. So, can we convert integer into numeric? Yes. So, ito yung ginagawa natin sa W2, di ba? Dito. So, we are converting the W object, which is integer, into a numeric. So, let's run this. Control Enter. Yan. Okay? Ano nangyari, guys? W2, which was created from W1, and W2 is a numeric. Numeric siya. Okay, ito naman guys. Pwede bang i-convert si W, which is integer, into a logical? Okay, yung hierarchy natin, di ba? Integer, pwede ba siyang i-convert into logical? Generally guys, sabi natin pag higher type, hindi pa pwede i-convert into lower type. But of course, there are exceptions. Generally, hindi sana pwede yung integer to logical, but there are cases na pwede. So gawin natin yun, no? Saan tayo? I think we are in the W3, no? So again, let's create this object W3. Okay, then as that logical, kino-convert natin yung integer into a logical. Run natin tong W3. Okay, pwede ba? Yes. So ano nangyari? False, true, 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 true. So logical na siya. Okay, anong ginawa? No? So alam natin guys, si W kasi, di ba, integer yan. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When we converted the integer into a logical, ang ginawa niya, si 0, ginawa niyang false. The other numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ginawa niyang true. No? So kapag 0, ginawa niyang false, pero yung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ginawa niyang true. Okay? Diba? Now, paano kung kasi ito, si W is integer. Paano kung ang ginawa niya, hindi, dito pala tayo. Palitan lang natin to guys, tingnan natin ha. Sige, sulatan lang natin dito. Control C. Control V. So this is W4. Tapos ito gawin natin W1. W4. So this is, di ba, numeric to logical. Dito, this is integer to logical. Okay. Integer to logical, na ano niya, na-convert niya, di ba? Yung 0 ginawa niyang false. The rest ginawa niyang true. How about kung numeric siya? Si W1 kasi is numeric, right? Check lang natin. W1. Yeah, W1 is numeric. No? Let's see if yung numeric pwede maging logical. Kasi by theory, guys, numeric hindi pwede maging logical, di ba? Unless may mga exceptions din. Okay, let's see if this will run. Okay, ano nangyari? Okay, ganun din, di ba? False to true. Na-convert din niya. Yung 0 to 6. Now, I leave you guys to experiment. What if mga decimal places siya? Pwede ba siya maging, maging logical kung decimal places? Okay, I leave that to you to experiment. No? Create ka ng object na decimal. Kunyari, yung example lang, kunyari 5 na decimal figures and then i-ano nyo, so numeric yun, di ba? I-convert mo into logical. Tingnan nyo kung ano mangyayari. Okay. So dito, gawin ko itong W5 na to. Sorry. W5. So what do we have here? This is character 2. Kasi nag-create tayo ng W5. So kino-convert natin si, and this is ano to? Integer. Integer to character. As that character. So we're converting an integer into a character. So pwede ba yun? Yes, we know, guys, the coercion rules kasi mas higher level yung character kaysa kay integer. So this, we know that this would really run. Okay. So W5, guys, yun na yun. So di ba integer yan? Kinu-erse niya into a character. Nilagyan lang ng mga quotes. No? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. And then, gawin natin itong W6. W6. Okay. W6. Tapos hindi na natin kailangan to kasi may W object tayo. No? So redundant na yun. Okay. Anyway, may W object pa tayo dun. So dito. So why run? Gawin W object integer natin. Alright. Can we convert? So ito. So this is from integer to complex. Pwede ba yun? Pwede ba? Titingnan natin yung hierarchy, integer to complex. Pwede. Lower ranking level to a higher ranking level. Okay, this one, run. Yan. Okay? Complex na siya. Ang ginawa lang niya, kasi di ba ang complex number, it consists of a real part and an imaginary part. So yung real, yung sa integers, meron tayo 0, 1 up to 6. So ang ginawa lang niya, para ito coerce into a complex, dinagdagan niya ng imaginary component. Yan. Okay? So, all right. Ito naman, guys, just a babalikan natin to, no? May mali lang ako dito sa code dito, paki-correct na lang. So, what does a sample function do? Okay, sample or sample.int. Ito, guys, yung sample function, it's used to generate random numbers, no? And this is integers, no? Or sample.int. So una yung x, ano ba yung x? Sabi, defines a vector of one or more elements from which to choose, or a positive integer. Okay, so ibig sabihin, you have to define saan pipili, no? Kasi magsasampling siya, saan pipili. We'll explain this in a while. Tapos, ilan yung pipiliin? 100. Then, merong replace is equal to true. Okay? Pwedeng replace is equal to false. Ano difference ng replace is equal to true sa is equal to false? Ang difference, guys, imagine, guys, a bowl, no? Tapos kunyari may mga ping pong balls kayo doon na ang laman mga numbers. May mga number in ping pong ball. So ang sampling parang ganun eh. You get one, okay? Kunyari nakuha natin 56. Tapos isusulat mo, i-record mo 56. Ang ibig sabihin ng replace is equal to true, pwede mong ibalik yung 56 dun sa bowl. So that there's still a probability that you can still pick that up. So pwede ma-double yung 56 sa sample mo. So that's replace is equal to true. Pag replace is equal to false, guys, ibig sabihin nun, hindi mo na pwedeng mapili si 56 ulit. Kasi literally, para hindi mo na siya ibabalik dun sa bowl of ping pong balls. No? So pag ganun, no way for you to be able to choose that number 56 again. Kasi hindi na siya binalik dun sa sa bowl. No? And that's, you do that by replace is equal to false. You do that kung gusto mong unique yung mga numbers nyo. No? Okay, so may mali ako dito, guys. Pakipalitan lang natin dito. Yung inch dito. Kasi dapat, sabi dapat dito x. And the x should be a vector of one or more elements. So for example, papalitan natin sa x dito. Gagawin natin, okay. Pwede natin magbigay ng range. No? Okay. For example, ito, 1 to 100. We just make sure may syntax. No? 1, tingnan natin kung pwede pa. 1 up to 100. Yan. So ito yung x. Ibig sabihin, gusto nyo pumili ng 1 up to 100. Okay? And then, replace is equal to 2. Ibig sabihin, pwede maulit yung number na yan. Okay, so let me run this. We'll have different answers, guys, kasi random number sampling to, no? Unless mag-set that seed tayo. But let's not do that now. Okay, nakalimutan ko lang dyan ito ng parenthesis. Para hindi na natin. Okay. Anong ginawa niya? Nag-sampling siya ng 100 numbers. No? From 1 up to 100. And then, you have replace is equal to 2. If you check this, possibly, ayan, 75 dito, may 75 dito. Kasi replace is equal to true. Bang may mga naulit, may 75 din dito. If it was replace is equal to false, then since from 1 to 100 lang yung pagpipiliin natin, then ang lalabas yan, 1 to 100 lang talaga. Kung replace is equal to false. Okay, pause muna ako, guys. Paki-indicate nga kung clear so far, kung yes or no. Any questions? Paki-chat naman please kung clear so far. Yes, kung clear. No, kung medyo gusto nyo may ulitin ako. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you the rest, guys. A few more seconds. And then I'll continue. Diba? 4 pa lang yung mag-respond. Okay, thank you. All right. Now, kunyari, gawin ko na is equal to false to. Okay. And since 1 to 100 lang yung pwede natin piliin, tapos replace is equal to false pa, tapos 100 lang yung sample size natin, mauulit yan, guys. Ibig sabihin, 1 to 100 na yan. If you check this, wala mauulit yan. No? Kasi replace is equal to false. So this is practically 1 up to 100. Okay? Eh kung gawin ko itong 1 up to 200, tingnan natin kung anong nangyari. Pwede ba siya mag-generate ng 200 na random numbers from 1 up to 100 na replace is equal to false? Let's check. Diba mo? Error siya. Diba? Error siya. Kasi paano siya mag-generate ng 200 na random numbers from 1 up to 100 lang yung ano niya, yung pagpipilian. Tapos, hindi pa siya pwede mag-replace. Right? You see the logic, guys? Hindi pa pwede yan. Okay? Balik ko na siya to 1 up to 100. Balik ko na siya to sa 2. Or just T. Pwede yan. Kita nyo? Okay, T or 2. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Now let's go to character vectors. Now, character vectors, the character strings must be in quotes. So ito, it consists of concatenating the data Monday up to Friday. Kaso, hindi naman numbers to, no? Okay, these are characters. Pag rinan natin dito, mag-e-error siya. Kasi hindi niya maintindihan kung ano yung Monday kasi walang quotes. Okay, so if you run this tree here, may quotes na siya. So na-recognize niya. Okay, these are characters, type of character, and then length is equal to 5. Okay, so let's take a look at this, guys. Ito ginawa na natin kanina, but just to review. So we're creating this object called X consisting of natin itong 1L kunyari. This is an integer, a numeric, a logical value, and then a character. If you run this, guys, okay, since magkakaiba sila, mag-coercion. I-coerce niya sa character kasi si character ang pinakamataas na level dito. Okay? Alright, so ginawa niya talagang lahat ng character. Si 1, si 5.4, si 2, at saka si hello. And the type of is character. So there's coercion kasi this is a vector siya. No? Vector. Hindi siya list. Iba kasi pag list eh. Ang list pwedeng list to. No? Kaso hindi niya ma-recognize sa list to kasi ang ginamit natin yung C. I'll show you mamaya kung paano gumawa ng list. Okay, logical vectors ganun din, guys. Hindi ma-recognize to yung false at saka true kasi ang pwede lang either all caps na false, true, okay, or just the first letter. Okay, so let's run ito. Natin ito rin. So yung una, si J, hindi siya found. Kasi nga, mali yung pag-type natin ng logical. Ito, false, true, yan. And type is illogical. Okay, or we can use this, guys. Pwedeng F, 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 P, P. Then, same thing lang yan. Okay? Same thing lang. So I will not run that anymore. All right. Okay, now we can do operations, no, in vectors using the okay. Here we're creating an object, diba? This is an integer vector, diba? 1 to 10. Diba? 1 column to 10 integer vector to, and the object is called numbers. Okay, run nga natin itong code chunk na to. Okay, so 1 to 10, class and type is integers. Alam natin na yung pag ginamit natin yung column, integer yung mag-generate. Alright, here we're creating another object, numbers 1 naman tayo, and this should be a numeric vector, type of double. Okay, if you run this, so numbers 1, numeric yung class niya, and type of na double. All right, so we know that we have an object called numbers. Numbers is an integer vector, 1 to 10. We can add to this object numbers, say 2. So pwede ba yun? Eh, di ba ang numbers natin, 10 elements. No? So pag nag-add tayo ng 2, it will add 2 to all the elements there. Ano natin? Kasi 1 to 10 yan, so ang naging ano na to? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No? Okay, but of course yung numbers natin, yun pa rin. Yung numbers natin, 1 to 10 pa rin. No? Nag-perform lang tayo dito ng operation. Of course, we could have used a new object here, num1. Num1. Okay, so that's a new object. So, pag i-print natin to, Okay? So nag-add lang siya ng 2 sa bawat isa. The only difference, kanina, ni numbers plus 2 lang natin, yung numbers, ganun pa rin, 1 to 10. No? But dito, nag-create tayo ng isang object na num1, and that this was generated out of the numbers integer vector by adding 2. Okay, pwede rin kayo mag-multiply numbers multiplied by the square root of 10. I-print natin to. Okay, so yung numbers natin guys, di ba? Ano to? Numbers. Ito, di ba? Yan, integer siya. Pag multiply natin siya ng square root of 10, so every number there will be multiplied by square root of 10. And you can also, of course, add vectors, numbers, numbers 1. Numbers 1 is numeric, numbers is integer, so pwede pa rin i-add yan. Okay. Now this one, guys, yung sequence function, okay, always a good idea, good practice to sequence. So this comes from the base R package. And guys, no? So this is the syntax, sequence from to by. No? Okay, may length out pa along with the to generate a vector of integers in sequence that int from to by that or length that out. Okay, so let's have an example here. Of course, guys, you can look below if you want to practice on this. Pwede yung gamitin yung yung samples na to, no? For you to learn more about the function sequence. Okay, so dito sequence from 1 to 3 by 0.02. Yan natin to. Okay, so 1 hanggang 3 and then nag-i-increment siya ng 0.2. 1 plus 0.2 plus 0.2, etc. There. Okay? So ito naman, sequence, hindi na natin sinulat yung from, understood niyan, from 1 to 5, and then hindi natin ginamit yung by, yung increments, ang ginamit natin yung length that out. So ibig sabihin nito, dapat yung result natin, dapat 4 numbers dapat. Yung ibig sabihin ng length that out, from 1 to 5. So ang gagawin yan, i-equally space na yan. So let's run this. Ayan, from 1 up to 5, and then 4 elements. Ginawa niya, it made it increase by increase by 1.333. Okay, pinoratio lang yan. Okay, so we can use this, no? Sequence function. Of course, guys, kung gusto nyo hindi, specified na yan. So hindi naman to random numbers, no? Kasi may specify natin kung saan yung sisimula, saan yung mag-end, tapos kung paano yung increments niya. Okay. Can we modify a vector using the assignment operator? We can do that. So for example, dito, mag-create tayo ng object. Lagyan natin ng parenthesis to. Okay, let's create an object. Ay, hindi na. Hindi na kailangan, guys, kasi semicolon and then Q. Ibig sabihin, print Q dito. Okay, the object contains -3, -2, -1, hanggang 2. And then semicolon Q, ibig sabihin, i-print niya. So, run natin ito. Print niya -3, -2, etc. Now, here guys, sabi natin dito, i-subset niya. Itong brackets na ito means i-subset niya. Yung Q2, sabi niya, assign it a number 0. And then print ulit natin si Q. Okay, so what happened here? Okay, take note, ano yung Q natin? Q natin is a numeric vector consisting of -3, -2, -1 hanggang 2. So dito ang gagawin natin, si Q2, the second element, itong -2, okay, papalitan natin ng 0. Okay, and then print ulit natin si Q. So i-run natin to guys at the same time. Run. Alright, so what happened? Yung original na Q, -3, -2, okay, ngayon yung bagong Q na, -3, 0 na yung pangalawa. Because of this command, no? Sinubset natin, pinalitan natin. Okay, if you take a look at Q guys, Q, yung bagong Q is now -3, 0. Okay, so in-overwrite na niya yung old Q. Okay, if you want to maintain Q and create another one, another object, So dapat mag-create kayo ng Q1. Q1, so create, ganito gawin natin, no? Q1. Q1 alt minus Q. So si Q1, ang laman pa rin niya, ito -3. So yung pa rin laman niya, di ba? Si Q1, pareho lang ng ano, ay hindi. Nabago na guys kasi, i-run ko ulit itong Q, sorry ha. Q, so -3, ulit si Q, no? -3, -2. So I'm going to create an object called Q1. It's the same as, ano, it's the same as Q. And then dito, okay, so Q1, yung number, yung second element, gagawin kong 0, and then print Q1. Okay. Here, ang pabalitan ko si Q1. Okay? So, i-run ko to. So, now I have Q1 na 0 na yung pangalawa niya. Pero doon pa rin si Q. Q, may -2 yung second element niya. Si Q1 naman, naging 0 kasi pinalitan natin. Okay? So, let me pause for a while, guys. Pause for a while. And then, I'll give you a few minutes to, a few seconds to change your code or if you need to run it. And then may I request you to please chat kung clear so far. Okay, chat naman kung yes, if it's been clear. Or no kung may question kayo. Kindly chat please. Feedback na lang guys. Very important sa akin yung feedback. Kasi it keeps me on my toes. It keeps me informed kung I'm going too fast or I'm going too slow. Okay, tatatlo pa lang yung nag-respond. Sana maka 70%. Sana mga 15, 16 responses, 18. No? Okay, thank you. Alright. Salamat guys ha. Panti pa. Mga 60-70%. So, siyempre, mas maganda sana kung 100% responses. So, I'm just waiting for the others also. Okay, naka more than 50% na tayo. A little more. How about the others? Clear so far tayo? Good. Thank you. Yes naman lahat. Clear. Thank you. Last final question dito. Okay, good. Thank you everyone guys. Thank you. Salamat sa responses. Although hindi ko pa rin makuha yung 100%. No? Okay. Matanda pa rin. Okay, now, so we can delete a vector. No? We can delete a vector. So pwede natin gamitin to. By the way, dito guys, here, I'd like to remind you, just like what we discussed before, when you create chunks, it's important that you give a name to the chunk, to the code chunk. Kasi pag hindi natin lalagyan ng code chunk yan, ang hirap mahanap kung asa na yung chunk na gusto mong tingnan, no? Kung walang mga pangalan. Ito, may pangalan yung mga hashtag, yung mga headers natin. Pero yung mga chunk kasi, hindi natin linagyan ng pangalan. No? So it's always good practice that when you're creating a code chunk to include the name. So that when you review your work, kunyari gusto mong makita, asan ba yung chunk dito ng, ano, ng about, kunyari nag-regression kayo. Okay, saan na yun? It will be very easy to find it. As compared to, mag-scroll ka ng ano, asan na ba yun? Diba? Ang hirap ng ganyan, no? So lalo guys, pag malaki na yung, ano, yung file nyo, kung marami ng rows of codes and notes, going to 600. No? Ang hirap mahanap. No? So, not a good idea just to write R. No? Maganda kung maglagay tayo ng code chunk. Okay? I purposely did not do it here kasi gusto kong if you're going to, kunyari, change this, kayo mismo maglagay ng code chunk. Okay, so let's go here. Saan na tayo? Buksan natin yung modifying. Okay, ito naman yung null guys. No? Now, pwede natin ma-erase, ma-delete yung vector na Q by using this. Q. Now, di ba may Q tayo? Ito yung -3, -2, -1. if we run this, guys, if we run this, run natin tong Q, null, tapos naka-print siya. Okay, there, null na siya. Tapos, nakalagay na dito, empty na yung Q natin. Okay, wala na. Empty na siya. Okay. Another way to do this is, okay, tingnan natin ha. Insert tayo ng Control Alt I. Si Q1 naman guys, gawin natin RM Q1. So, anong ginagawa nitong RM na to? Remove to guys, remove. No? Remove. So let's see. May Q1 pa ako dito, di ba? Yan, negative 30. Okay, if I run this RM, okay, what happened? Nawala na, no? Wala na si Q1. Wala na si Q1. Alright? Okay, so dito guys, lagyan nyo ng remove an object in R. RM, remove. Eh, kung gusto nyo i-remove lahat, pwede guys. Pero huwag nyo muna gawin, no? RM list. RM list. RM ls. Okay. I think this is it guys. Pero huwag nyo muna gawin ha. Kasi i-remove niya lahat yan. Ano? I-remove niya lahat ng object. RM list everything. No? Everything to. It will remove all the objects that we created in R. Okay? All right. Now, subsetting. Paano yung subsetting, guys? Okay, take a look at this. So here we're creating an object called days. Okay, so original yata wala to, no? Tanggalin mo na lang yan. Okay. So days, guys. Monday, Tuesday. We know that this is a character vector. Okay. And then what does this mean? Days, bracket 1. So this is your subset. Ibig sabihin nito, since vector lang naman to, ibig sabihin isang row lang siya, isang column. Okay, so ibig sabihin to, the first element lang. Ito the fourth element. Ito naman, yung first, yung third, at saka yung fourth element, ito yung pareho, first hanggang fourth, ito all except the fifth element. So let's run this, guys. Run. Okay. So what do we have here? So ito yung ano natin, di ba yung days object, Monday up to Friday. Days 1 gives us the first element lang. Ito. Ito naman days 4, yung fourth element, yung Thursday. 1, 3, 4, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then 1 to 4, di ba yung 1 to 4 natin, Monday hanggang Thursday. Ito naman, all except 5. All except 5. Yung 5 natin, Friday. So these two will be the same result. 1 to 4 or except 5, pareho lang yung result na. Kaya pinan natin pareho. Okay? So yung brackets, guys, ginagamit na sa pag-subset. When you're given a vector or even a data frame, para makuha natin yung specific element, no? Then we can use the subset. If you want, for example, to create a new object, days 1, okay? So first time I create an object. No? For example, days 1 and it should be days. Days, tapos iba bracket natin. Bracket. Tapos 1 C. 1, 2, 4, 5. Yan. Or sabi natin, another way to write this is negative 3, di ba? Diba? So ito, natin dito. Hindi natin na-print. Print ko. Okay, so ito yung days 1 natin. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5. Which is just the same as days 2. Days 2 na lang. which is just the same as days. And then tanggalin natin si 3. No? Do not include 3. Print natin. Once again guys, yung pag-subset, ginagamit natin yan to get objects, to get data from a particular vector. Okay, gawin natin to. So same lang. No? Dito, in-identify natin the first, second, fourth, fifth, dito, except the third. So practically that's the same as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay, so that takes care guys of vectors. No? The second type is structure. Second structure type is list. Okay, itong list. No? Si list guys, it's different from a vector kasi si list can contain objects of different types. So pwede siyang numeric, pwede siyang character, pwede siyang logical, pwede siyang date, etc. Okay, so here, let's create an object guys, L1. Paki-change siya lang guys kung iba yung nakasulat dyan. I'm sorry for that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3L, hello, and false. 1 and 2 are numeric, 3 is integer, hello is character, false is logical. So if we run this, okay, tingnan nyo guys, no? Anong kaibahan dito? Hindi lang C, no? Ginamit natin yung function na list. We use this function called list, and it allowed us to list. Yan, dapat pwede nito. Ito yung function list. Tapos nilagyan natin ng parenthesis dito para so that we can print this. And let me rerun this. Yan. Okay. Now, tingnan nyo ito guys. No? Ano ibig sabihin nito? What does this mean? Okay, baguhin natin to. No? Gawin natin tong dagdagan natin C. Dagdagan natin ng C, and then i-copy natin yung objects natin ito. Copy na lang natin to. Okay, then kamo dito. Okay, take a look at this guys. So this, sabi natin, create a list. This is actually a vector din to, no? Kung tutuusin guys, vector to. A vector of 1. Lahat to guys, vectors. No? 3L is a vector also. Isa lang siya. Ito yung vector natin na maraming laman. No? Character. Tapos ito, hello, and then false. So let's see what happens if we create this object. All right. Take a look at this, guys. So, ito yung first element, second, third, fourth. And then fifth, no? So, ito guys, yung list na to, yung number 4 na to, ito yung appearance niya dito sa list function. First, second, third, fourth. Okay? Fourth, and then, okay, ito guys, 1, yung Monday. Kasi pwede marami yan guys. Kung marami yan, magkakaroon ng, kunyari, 7 dito. Ibig sabihin, ito yung 7th element in this object in your list function. Okay, yun lang ibig sabihin nun. Okay? Alright, so, yan, 6th first. Okay, so this is a list. So si list guys tumatanggap ng iba't ibang klaseng data types, no? Different data types it accepts. Unlike yung vector, kasi si vector pag ginawa niya magko-coercion. I-coerce niya into the highest level na data. Okay? Here guys, sabi natin lists can contain A list can contain lists and vectors. Right. For example, ano ba yung my vector na yun? Okay. Gawin na lang natin to guys. Palitan natin to. Gawin natin tong my vector. My vector. Okay. So I'm replacing yung list with the name my vector. Okay. So if you take a look at this guys, dito sa ano natin, dito sa environment natin, tingnan nyo, no? Sa data nakalagay siya. No? My vector is a list. List of 6 elements. No? Okay, so yun yung my vector natin. And then, create tayo dito ng list. Okay, ano laman itong list na to? My vector, di ba, is a list. Tapos ito, this is a vector of numeric values. This is character. This is logical. Okay, ito din yung days. Di ba yung days kanina? Ano ba yung days? Days is a vector consisting of Monday hanggang Friday. Okay? So, pwede natin gamitin guys yung mga objects na nakita natin dito. So, days and then combine din to. Okay, so let's run both. Okay, tinan nyo to. No? Okay, so meron ng double ano dito, di ba? Okay, ano to? So, this is the first element here. Okay, si my vector. Okay, tapos si my vector, ano laman niya? Okay, yung unang laman ni my vector is 1. Yung pangalawang laman niya is 2. Pangatlong laman niya is 3. Pang-apat na laman niya is a atomic vector 4. And then, take note, 1, 5. No? So, ina-identify niya yung mga laman ng mga list natin. Okay? Tapos may pang-anim pa siya, 6 yung false. Tapos, second element of our list, etc. Okay, so I hope you got the meaning of this. Subset lang din ibig sabihin niya. So this is the first element in the list. And in that list, meron pang subcomponent siya. Ito yung pang-apat na laman ng list 1. Ng list, yung first element sa list. Ito yung second element sa list, ang laman niya, it's just a vector of 1, 2, 3. Pag nakakita kayong ganito guys, na 1 and 3, 1 and 4, ibig sabihin, dun sa list nyo, may list din. Okay? It's a combination of list and list. Don't worry guys, huwag kayo masyadong palito niyan kasi hindi naman natin talaga focus yung gagamitin natin sa list. Mas gagamitin natin si data frame. Okay. So this is another one guys. Ito, we're creating an object called myList. So it consists
Hello,
of...
sorry sir.
Yes?
Sir, just a time check po. It's 12:36 na po.
Ano no? Ay, wala. Thank you, thank you. Ayan na naman guys, sorry. Akala ko na naman 12:45 tayo. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ay, naku, my bad. No? Grabe, grabe. Nakakalimutan ko lagi talaga. Okay, let me stop recording.